Hello, this is Darrell Castle with today's Castle Report. This is Friday, the third day of October in the year of our Lord 2025. I have decided to talk about what seems to me to be the most important issue for the United States and the world. In this report, the government shutdown. We'll just have to wait. It might be a good thing anyway. President Trump's 20-point proposal to bring peace, or at least the absence of war and famine, to Gaza is my beat for today. The people of Gaza are certainly important, certainly worth talking about, because they and their land are central to Mr. Netanyahu's plan for the Middle East. Israel seems to appear in almost every discussion about almost everything these days. Keeping all that in mind, I have a question to ask before I begin the discussion of Trump's proposed peace plan, according to articles by Max Blumenthal, who's done yeoman's work on the subject. Charlie Kirk had expressed to him his one fear, and that fear was not trans people, not homosexual activists or anyone of that ilk. No, he said what he feared most was the, quote, Israeli regime backed by powerful and wealthy Jewish donors in the United States, end quote. He went on to allege that Bibi Netanyahu offered Charlie $150 million to come back into the Zionist fold, but Charlie chose to keep his honor instead of the money. According to Blumenthal, sources within Charlie's inner circle said that Charlie and Erica had been attending Catholic Mass together. Why is that important? Well, Mr. Netanyahu was apparently very frightened by it for some reason. Candace Owens, close friend of Charlie's and a recent convert to Catholicism, confirmed that for several weeks before his murder, Charlie had been distancing himself from the Israeli donors. The investigation by Mr. Blumenthal revealed through conversations with Charlie's inner circle that many members of that circle, as well as members of the Trump administration, believed that Israel killed him. Blumenthal admitted that such beliefs might not be correct, but he was shocked that they were so widespread even with no help from the media. Reportedly, Israeli donors were furious and shocked that Charlie refused Bibi's money, and more importantly, his invitation back to the fold. Apparently, Charlie discounted Bibi's open boast that he controlled America. After all, isn't it obvious that both American political parties support Israel's policies one way or the other? These donors thought they could threaten Charlie with the end of his career if he didn't cooperate. He was obviously aware of the threats and intimidation, but that did not stop him. I could make this entire report about Charlie Kirk again, but I promised Gaza in the introduction. So how is Gaza related in any way to Charlie Kirk? Well, apparently, Charlie was separating from the views of his Israeli donors over Gaza. That links them together with one more thing about Israel and Mr. Netanyahu before I let it go. Foreign Agents Registration Act documents reveal that the Israeli government is paying pro-Israel influencers $7,000 per Instagram and $7,000 per TikTok post for each post spreading Netanyahu's propaganda. So we know they were putting that $4 billion of U.S. taxpayers give them each year to good use. Before I get into Trump's peace proposal, I will ask the question. One question I have, folks, if members of the Trump administration really believe that the Israelis killed Charlie Kirk, as his inner circle believes, then how can the U.S. government, the shining light on the hill, the bastion of freedom, the world's example of rule by law, not by men, how can they continue to act as if nothing happened? The answer to that question would appear to be very frightening indeed. Well, having said all that, Donald Trump, like so many presidents before him, has developed a plan for peace in the Middle East, specifically Gaza. Netanyahu quickly accepted the plan publicly, but Hamas has said it might reject it because it benefits only Israel. I'm fairly well acquainted with the plan. I don't see that it only benefits Israel. It would allow the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, the release of remaining hostages, and it would allow the people of Gaza to be fed, to get medical care, and so on. The plan is much too long for me to discuss all 20 of its points, but I will choose just a few of the more important or obvious ones to summarize and give my own thoughts. Number one, the first item, Gaza will be a de-radicalized terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. Well, that's easier said than done, and it obviously requires the terrorists to stop acts of terror and their revolutionary resistance to the new rule. Item number two, Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. Well, that sounds good, at least in principle, but I don't understand what redevelop means. It's not defined. Who pays for all this redevelopment? And if Israel is to contribute, where will that money come from? Number 3, 4, and 5. If both sides agree, then the war will immediately end. The IDF will withdraw to the line agreed upon in the proposal. All military activity will cease. All hostages, alive and dead, will be released within 72 hours. Once hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners, along with 1,700 Gazans detained since October 7, 2023. The second anniversary of that attack is next week, so it's a fine time for peace. Number 6, 7, and 8. Hamas fighters will decommission their weapons and commit to peaceful coexistence. All Hamas members who do that will be given amnesty. Those who wish to leave will be given safe passage to other countries. I sure hope that safe passage doesn't include the United States, folks. Humanitarian aid will immediately commence. Both sides pledge to refrain from interfering with the UN's effort to deliver the aid. The Rafah passage will be reopened, according to what was laid out in past documents. Number 9, Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for running day-to-day public services. Committee will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts, with oversight by a new body, the Board of Peace, quote, Board of Peace, end quote. That board will be headed and chaired by Donald Trump and will also include Tony Blair, former Prime Minister of Great Britain. I knew he was around here somewhere, folks. I knew from other sources that Blair was coming to run this thing if it's enacted. Numbers 10 and 11. A Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped to birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. A special economic zone will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. Hamas agrees to not have any role in the new government. All terror networks, including tunnels and arms stashes, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. 14. Item 14. A guarantee will be provided by regional partners to ensure that Hamas and their factions comply with their obligations and the new Gaza poses no threat to its neighbors or its people. Number 15, this seems to be the most important one, folks. Number 15, because upon security depends all the others. The U.S. will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force called ISF to immediately deploy to Gaza. I don't know if any of those troops will be American, but I'm certain the force in this proposal is why Netanyahu was invited to the White House last week for the 4th time this year. While he was there, Trump forced him to call the Qatari government and apologize for his attack and attempt to kill the Hamas leaders invited there by the U.S. for peace talks. He used American fighter jets, American weapons, to attack an American ally without even paying the U.S. the courtesy of informing them. He really didn't say, "I'm sorry." He didn't say, "I'm sorry I did it," because Bibi Netanyahu would have trouble with that. Instead, he said he regretted the decision to do it. By the way, apparently the attack killed only Qatari citizens, no Hamas terrorists at all. In response to the call and to Trump's executive order guaranteeing Qatar's security, the Qatari government agreed to once again host the peace talks. I would expect them to participate in the new Gaza peacekeeping force. Number 16, Israel will not annex or occupy Gaza. Number 18, an interfaith dialogue will be established based on the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence by emphasizing to the Gazans and the Israelis the benefits to be derived from peace. Number 19, and I will end the plan's summation with number 19. The 19th point, that is the hope and the intent that if this works, the conditions will finally be there for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood, which is recognized as the aspiration of the Palestinian people. So they're going to recognize Palestinian statehood as part of this deal. In conclusion, I conclude this report with a quote from Bibi Netanyahu, which is a not-so-veiled threat, folks. Quote, "If Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way or it can be done the hard way, but it will be done. We prefer the easy way, but it has to be done. All these goals must be achieved because we didn't fight this horrible fight, sacrifice the finest of our young men to have Hamas stay in Gaza and threaten us again and again and again with these horrific massacres," end quote. Trump has been maneuvering in the Middle East the entire time he's been in office. Next week, as I said prior, is the second anniversary of the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack, and as I said, it would be a perfect date for peace settlement. I pray that it works and that it holds. Finally, folks, finally, I argue that the current relationship with Washington's special ally, Israel, is not in the national security interest of the United States. Furthermore, the constitutional republic, or if you prefer, our democracy, is severely threatened by the donor class and its control of the institutions of government. That Israeli billionaires have so much control of American policy tells me that America will soon be at war with Iran. At least that's the way I see it. Till next time, folks, this is Darrell Castle. Thanks for listening.